So apparently braids come from Vikings and not black people. There's a certain white lady online claiming this exact statement, that we should let her do what she wants because braids are from her people and not from the African people. Let's dissect that. Hello there, my name is Janita Maaya. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, guys, please subscribe. Literally have a target. Please subscribe. When I saw this video, I had so many questions, like, what is the truth about braids? Who invented the braids? Can white people wear the braids? For those who I guess men who wouldn't know braids, show pictures of the braids, like 3 of them, so that you guys can kind of get a picture of what braids I'm talking about. I could be here yapping and you guys don't even know what type of hairstyle I'm talking about. Before I play the clip, I want us to kind of first dissect it. You're going to watch the clip and this lady saying, I can do what I want, I can wear braids come from Vikings. But when I saw that particular clip, it just kind of showed me how other races are able to enter or integrate themselves into the black community and do as they please. Because I feel like we're not keeping this enough. Because what do you mean a white person can sit there and say they're going to do braids and that's okay? Like, that's not culture. What's the word? Appropriation? My people, correct me in the comment section. That one, right? Like, why would she feel like where does she get the ease, the audacity to do something as big? To me, that is so huge because you don't see so many white people with braids. First of all, that scalp is very tender. I don't think they could handle that tension. Whereas like Africans' hair or African Americans' hair or like anyone Afro, their hair is more like made for the braiding pattern and whatnot. Like the texture of the hair is a bit better to like grip on and whatnot. And I think that for a white person the texture is a bit more silky or like slippery. When you're in the salon getting your hair done and then the lady's like, oh, you put too much oil, I can't grip your hair. Like, of course that's going to also happen with them. So where is the audacity coming from? You want to give yourself a headache, but you also want to prove a point to the black community that, you know what, I can do what I want. Black people are not known to do shit about it. I can just enter into your community, grab whatever it is that I can grab and then just use it for my own liking. Mind you, she's racking up views on her platform. Watch the clip.
I'm allowed to wear braids. I've been seeing a lot of hate comments about my braids, saying it's offensive, disgusting, it's cultural appropriation, it's fucked up. How is it fucked up when Vikings are the ones that invented braids? If you are really that offended by me wearing braids in 2025, you need to get a grip on reality. It is not that deep. Why are we arguing about hairstyle? And I just want to get one thing straight. If a person of color can wear a wig that's blonde and straight, I can wear braids.
Now, if it is not that deep and we're arguing about hairstyles, let me just a quick search. Let's look at Viking braids right here. They're popping up on your screen. Now, these are Viking braids, and historically, the Vikings would braid their hair to help them with what? With fighting or battle and whatnot, so that the hair wouldn't get in the way, which is what also Africans were using the braids for. But let's also look at Fulani braids. Now, these are Fulani braids. What this white lady got were Fulani braids. She didn't get Viking braids, right? She didn't get Viking braids. She got Fulani braids. So when she says, oh, braids originated from Vikings, it doesn't make sense. They didn't originate from Vikings. Braids actually have a history. When slavery was taking place, they used to cut off their hair and they used to do so much more because to them it was untamable and they needed to do something about it. And then the slaves came up with ways they could, kind of, I guess, like, instead of cutting off my hair, let me plait it in braids so that it doesn't disturb my master or something like that, right? And other times braids were also used as maps to help soldiers or people who are planning an escape. They could plait a route into a braid. And then they would, show the soldiers, like, if the braid is bigger, let's say here, then that means this is the spot where you guys need to go, or something like that. And that was something that was kept within themselves. It was used as a tool of liberation. There's so much history behind the braids for someone white to just wake up and think, oh, you know what, it's not cultural appropriation, let me do what I want, you guys need to chill, it's not a big deal. I want you guys to watch the history of braids and then we jump back in.
Style did not fit the corporate image. They were afraid of the statement they thought braids made. They didn't understand them, and so they banned them. But for every setback, there was also a step forward. And no one knows that better than Sergeant Jasmine Jacobs, who spearheaded the White House petition to overturn the ban on natural hairstyles in the military. Who would have known that an Army girl can fight, but can't do it with her hair twisted? So what about me, where I'm at? No. What's wrong with what I have?
Your braids would be considered like a style because like they're parted in the middle and then like going out to the sides. Your braids had to go straight back. I remember asking my first sergeant what I was supposed to do with my hair if these regulations go into effect, and she told me to get a wig. But the wording in the regulation is that the wig has to mimic your natural texture, but you've outlawed my natural textures.
Wow.
So you really just want my hair to be straight. Like, just say that.
Yeah.
We're all friends here.
Here's how it went down. The U.S. Army updated their grooming standards for female troops, banning a number of natural hairstyles as a way to maintain uniformity within a military population. This include twists, dreadlocks, and large cornrows, and use terms like matted and unkempt to describe the unacceptable styles. How would you explain to the everyday person who may know absolutely nothing about natural hair care or black hair what this ban meant?
It's a ban that for the most part is saying that your hair can't be the way it naturally is. And I think what's really important to understand is that it's supremely unhealthy to not wear your hair naturally. A lot of people maybe didn't realize that it was like, hey, either you can cover your hair in like damaging like sew-ins or weaves, or you can chemically straighten it, or you can wear a wig, which I don't trust a wig staying on like when you're wearing a combat helmet.
I don't trust a wig, period. So in combat, that's the last place I want to wig.
The last place. Exactly.
And how like detrimental is that to someone's psyche?
Especially coming from the military, because it was like, hey, you're good enough to go to war and potentially not come back, but we don't support even like the very kind of like foundation of who you are. I just didn't want to leave that kind of stigma for like our future generations.
Jasmine first noticed the ban circulating on April 1st, 2014. She thought it was the worst April Fool's Day joke ever.
We had seen a draft of it. It was kind of like, well, this can't be true. And then the actual ban started to come into effect right around April Fool's Day. And so I was like, the Army's not funny. Y'all aren't even good at this.
Y'all have no sense of humor.
At one point, I was just kind of like, you know what, if this is real, like, I'm going to start a petition. And I honestly thought that I would start the petition just as like an excuse to kind of like complain, and then maybe like 50 friends would sign it. I always feel like you can't complain about something unless you try to change it. And so really I was just trying to like earn my complaints. It actually went very differently, so that was good.
It definitely went incredibly, very, very differently.
After a couple of news shows, that's when Congress got involved, and that's when like change actually happened.
Right. Now we've got the government like in it.
They're in it.
They're in it. What happens after Congress has their say?
Some local congressmen from the state of Georgia contacted me. They actually petitioned the Department of Defense and said that they needed to review the regulations, and they also called them racially biased. It was huge. I was fighting for like the Army, and they ended up like having the entire armed forces.
The immediate backlash led for the ban to be lifted by August 2014, but only on braids and twists. The Army just lifted a ban on dreadlocks in January 2017, and there are still contingencies that prevent certain types of locks.
A big part of the changing of the regulations was that moving forward, anytime there was any uniform policy that's going to affect the entire military, there has to be a diverse representation of people at the table. When you're making decisions kind of like in that vacuum, like it's very easy to say, oh, that fro is getting in the way of you being able to do your job. I mean, if you're not a black female, then why do you know about black hair care? And so I'm hoping that by instilling that kind of policy, that's not going to be something that continues to be the norm.
We're not just seeing this in the military. I mean, we're seeing this in so many different iterations. What message do you have for women and girls about loving their hair, loving themselves?
I think that black women are just starting to fall in love with themselves again. And we're starting to understand like it's okay to like kind of express yourself culturally, like through your hair, like, you know,
I'm glad that we're able to get that history lesson, because yeah, you learn each day. You never stop being a student of life. There's always something new to learn, especially about our culture, you know, something that we need to preserve, something that we need to, you know, I guess protect and keep away from people who want to just come in and just do as they please. Cornrows, I think someone's saying braids, cornrows, it's in the same bracket, more or less. It's in the same bracket. I also remember reading somewhere that cornrows were used as a method of communication between this, I guess, the plantations. You know, a slave would weave certain patterns into the other lady slaves hair, and then they would communicate like that. So it's, I guess it's more than hair. You know, she kept asking, what's the big deal? The big deal is that there's culture behind this, and you're just doing this for funsies to get a few views on TikTok, whereas there's a deeper meaning to this. There's something bigger than this. It really feels really very insensitive coming from her. Now, she did mention like, oh, why can women wear wigs? Story for another day. Let's concentrate on the cornrows, right? But I do believe that black women wearing wigs is more of like to protect the natural hair underneath and to let it grow out, you know. Now, the blonde wig thing, she kind of had a point there. She ate with that one. I'll give her that. She had a point there. But like, leave the cornrows alone. Leave the Fulani braids alone. Now, mind you, black people and their hair has always been an issue, because to my knowledge, in the past years, you know. Now, mind you, women were getting fired because braids were not considered corporate attire, you know, and they had to like go and fight for their rights to make sure braids are accepted, because braids are like part of any African woman's life. Like, what do you mean you can't wear braids going into work? Well, what do you want women to wear? You know, maybe they also deemed their hair untenable. There were so many things that happened with braids. So when they passed out a law, a constitution, like allowing women to wear braids at the workplace, that was like a win for black people. It's, when I was reading about this, it's like a win for every woman elsewhere, even in the army, because they were not accepting braids or they wanted hair. There was a certain code of, I guess, look that you had to follow and whatnot. And there's a special lady who came up and said, you know what, this is really unfair and we need to do things our way. Now you might wonder, why did I even choose this topic? Because I believe that there are young people who watch me, and I want them to, like, young African girls who watch me, and I want them to know that their hair is amazing. Their hair is beautiful. Like, there's no need for them to shy away from braids. There's no need for them to lean towards anything else. Like, you are beautiful with your textured hair. You're beautiful with your rough hair, with your kawede. Is it kaweke and whatnot? It's a Uganda word to mean like textured hair. Like, you are beautiful. Like, no one should make you feel bad for your African. You know, no one should make you feel bad for your Africanity. Should it be your hair? No one should. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Subscribe, like, comment, do all the nice things, and I guess I'll see you next time. Follow me on all my social media pages at Janita Maaya. Support the channel by buying the merchandise, and I'll see you next time. Bye.